Good morning, my dear friends. Let's solve summer 2023 MCQ paper IGCSE physics component 22. Hariharan Palmani here. Forces of 3 Newton and 4 Newton act at right angles are shown. What is the resultant force? Okay, so force is a vector, so resultant force will be square root of x square plus square root of z square. So it will be square root of 3 square plus 4 square, which is square root of 9 plus 16, and square root of 25, which is 5. Okay, and it will be in the direction diagonal OY, 5 Newton along OY. A light ball is held at rest at the top of a tall clip. It is released and falls through the air, eventually reaching its terminal velocity. Which row describes the behavior of the ball as it descends? So the initially it will have acceleration due to gravity, which is g. Eventually the friction, air resistance, okay, will balance this acceleration, so the resultant force will 0. That's when the terminal velocity is attained. There the acceleration is 0. So initial acceleration is g, final acceleration is 0. Option C. The graph represents the motion of a car. How far the car moved between 0 and 5 seconds. Given is a speed versus time graph. In speed versus time graph, the distance moved is just area under the curve. Okay, so we have to find this area. So this is a triangle, so half base into height will work. Base is 5 seconds and then the height is 10 meter per second, so 25 meter. Which statement about mass or weight is not correct? Mass can be compared using balance. Yes, it can be compared using balance. Mass is a force. No, it's not. So this is not correct answer. Weights can be compared using balance. Yes, they can be compared using balance. Weight is a force. Of course, weight is a force. A sphere P made of steel has weight of 10 Newton on Earth. Another sphere Q, also made of steel, has weight of 10 Newton on Mars. The gravitational field strength on Earth is greater than the gravitational field strength on Mars. Which statement is correct? These statements compare mass of the sphere P and Q, okay, whether they less or more. Yes, okay. So weight of the sphere P on Earth is 10 Newton, okay, which means mass of the sphere P into gravity, acceleration due to gravity of Earth, this is 10 Newton. Same about Q, weight of the Q in Mars is 10 Newton, which is mass of the sphere Q and gravity, acceleration due to gravity on Mars, which is 10 Newton, okay, both are same. If they are telling that the acceleration due to gravity on Earth is higher than mass, so both quantities are 10 Newton, but GE is higher than GM. So MQ must be higher than MP, okay, or MP is less than MQ. Which option is that? Second option is mass of the sphere P is less than mass of the sphere Q. Which two quantities must be known to determine the density of a material? Density is mass by volume, so it should be mass and volume. A truck is towing a car along a straight horizontal road at a constant speed. The rope breaks. Which rope gives the direction of the initial acceleration of the truck after the rope breaks and the reason for the acceleration? Okay, so initially the truck engine has to give enough power or force to pull both truck and the car. Okay, now the truck is going with the same power. As soon as the rope cut, still the force is same, but now the mass of the car has decreased and the resistive force due to the car is also decreased. So the truck will go faster in the same direction. See, so the acceleration of the truck will go right, and then the driving force is greater than the resistive force on the truck, because initially the resistive force were due to truck, also due to car. Now car is not there, so only the resistive force due to truck. The driving force is higher than the resistive force, so it will accelerate in the right direction. A uniform beam is pivoted at the center, and two identical masses x and y are placed so that the beam balances. A smaller mass is then added at the position shown. How the masses be positioned so the beam balances again? Okay, so now a new small mass has been introduced to left side. So to counter it, either we can move the y away from the pivot, or we should move the x towards the pivot. Which one gives? Move x towards the pivot, because we don't have move y away from pivot. Yes. A resultant force of 2 Newton acts on an object of 3 kg for 6 seconds. What is the change in velocity of the object? So how we can find? We can use the impulse equation. Force into time is mass into velocity, final velocity minus initial velocity. What they are asking is final velocity minus initial velocity, which is change in velocity. If we rewrite the equation, it's Ft by m. So 2 Newton multiplied by 3 kg, 2 Newton multiplied by 6 seconds divided by 3 kg, which will be 4 meter per second. The diagram shows energy stores for a mobile cell phone and how the energy is transferred between stores. So which describe how the chemical energy is transferred. So the chemical energy is stored in battery, okay, and this is given as potential difference across the battery as electrical work done. We know that we need to charge the battery through electric, right? So electrical work done. The question mark is electrical work done. A wind turbine is 30% efficient and has an output of 2.5 megawatt of electric power. Okay, that's 10 power 6. What is the power input of the turbine? Okay, what is efficiency? Efficiency is power out divided by power in, the total useful power out divided by total power input multiplied by 100%. Now this is 30%. So 30% is equal to power out, which is 2.5 into 10 power 6 divided by power in into 100. So if we rewrite this equation for power in, just bring the power in left hand side and then move the 30 to the denominator of right hand side, then we get 8.3 megawatt. Yeah, we do not need to write 10 power 6 because the answer is also in megawatt. So 8.3. Which two physical quantities must be used to calculate the power developed by a student running a flight of stairs? Okay, what is power? Work by time. So the work done and the time taken only. The density of sea water is 1030 kilogram per meter cube. The gravitational field strength on earth is 9.8 Newton kg. Atmospheric pressure is 101,000 Pascal. At which depth in sea water is the total pressure due to the atmosphere, and water equal to 513,000 pascals. Okay, so now this is little critical question that we didn't anticipate, we might not anticipate or discuss in the class. So the pressure inside the liquid, we know that it's rho GH, but when atmosphere is included, it is pressure inside the liquid plus atmosphere. Okay, so the pressure is pressure due to depth plus pressure due to atmosphere. PA is pressure atmosphere. We know that pressure due to depth is rho GH. So we can write this as rho's density 1030 and G is 9.8. This is H, what we have to find. At which depth the sea water is the total pressure due to the atmosphere. That's what we have to find. Okay. So let's put this thing in equation. Atmosphere pressure also given. Okay, in which height this pressure will be there? That's a question. Yeah. So let's rearrange this equation. So this 10,000 moves to the left hand side with minus sign, and this 10,094 is in multiplication with h, so it will come to the denominator. After this 10,000 moves to the left hand side. So the height will be, if we calculate this, 40.8 meter. 4 students describe the phase absolute zero during a lesson on practical model. Which student is correct? So this is the lowest possible temperature. The definition of absolute zero is the lowest possible temperature. 4 students are asked to state and explain the relative magnitudes of thermal expansion of solids and gases. Which student is correct? Gases expand more than solids because the attractive forces between the molecules are much weaker in gases. That's the reason. Four cups A, B, C and D contain hot coffee. Which cup keeps the coffee warm the longest? Okay, so we have 2 black cups and 2 white cup, 1 with lid and 2 with lid and 2 without lid. Okay, obviously with lid is going to keep the cup hot longer, and whether it's black or white, black is a good absorber, also good emitter. So black will emit lot of radiation, so the cup will cool down quickly compared to white. So white with lid will keep the cup coffee cup hot longer. The diagram shows a wave. What are the amplitude and wavelength of this wave? Okay, which is amplitude? The maximum displacement, that's here, which is 3 centimeter, and this is wavelength, one full wave, or two same points. So this one, so 3 and 8. Optical fibers are used to transmit signal using infrared radiation. The average refractive index of the fiber is 1.50. Which row describes the digital signal and gives the speed of infrared radiation in the fibers? Okay, first they are defining digital signal. So okay, we will come back to that later. We will see what is the speed of infrared radiation in the fibers. We know that refractive index, definition of refractive index is speed in air divided by speed in that particular medium, C divided by V. Okay, V is speed in that particular medium. We know that speed of the electromagnetic wave in air is 3 into 10 power 8. Okay, so we have to find the velocity, speed of infrared radiation in that medium, in the fiber. So we are rearranging this equation. Let's put we know the speed of the light, electromagnetic wave is 3 into 10 power 8 divided by refractive index is 1.5. So it will be 2 into 10 power 8 meter per second. So now we have two options, 2 into 10 power 8. Signal that consists of only two values, that's the definition of digital signal. Analog signal will have a continuous value. So A, 2 into 10 power 8. Which statement describes monochromatic light? Monochromatic light, the definition, mono means single, chromatic means color or frequency. So light of a single frequency. A beam of light consists of yellow and blue light. The beam of light is incident on a glass prism. Which diagram is correct? So if you want to remember this glass diagram, prisms dispersions, then remember the VIBGR will go from down to up, VI, BG, YOR, like that. So blue will be in the down, yellow will be in the top, D. A radio station broadcasts signal with frequency of 89 megahertz. What is the wavelength of the signal? How we can find wavelength? We know that V or C is F lambda. We have to find the lambda, which is C by F. If we rewrite this equation, we know that C is 3 into 10 power 8 divided by frequency is 89 megahertz. For mega we are writing 10 power 6. So the lambda will be 3.37 meters. If we round off, 3.4 meter. A boy shouts and hear the echo from a tall building 2.2 seconds later. The speed of sound in air is 330 meters per second. How far from the boys from the building. Okay, now he's making a noise. This noise traveling and reflect back. This is what we echo. So speed is distance by time. This distance is 2 times, okay, because it's going and coming back. So 330, which is speed, is 2 into distance divided by the time taken. Okay, why 2D is because it's traveling, hitting the wall and coming back. This is 2 times distance is taken by 2.2 seconds. That's why it's 2D there. If we rewrite this equation D, then we get 363 meter. Round it off to 360 meter. The magnetic field of a bar magnet can be represented by magnetic field lines. Which diagram shows 2 magnetic field lines correctly? Yeah, A, north and south. North is sort of like positive equivalent, south is negative equivalent to charges. You can remember like that. A plastic rod is rubbed with dry cloth. Rod becomes positively charged. Why has the rod become positively charged? If it becomes positively charged means it has lost electrons. This has nothing to do with neutrons. Which statement about the electric current in a conductor is correct? In an AC circuit, flow of the charge changes direction continuously. You can remember AC wave will look like this, DC will look like this. AC current will alternate its polarity. How many times it's alternating is called its frequency. Yes. A piece of metal wire X with a uniform diameter has resistance R. A second piece of wire Y is made of the same metal and has a uniform diameter. Y has the double cross-sectional area of X and half the length of X. Okay, what is the resistance of Y? Now they are same material, just the diameter, cross-sectional area and the length has changed. Okay, double the cross-sectional area and half the length of the X. We know R is rho L by A. Let's take the new R dash, resistance of the Y, material Y. So this is length is half the original length, so L by 2. Cross-sectional area is twice, double, so 2A. Now if we actually it's 1 by 2 in the numerator, there is 2 in the denominator, so it will be 1 by 4 rho L by A. If you look, this rho L by A nothing but resistance of X, so we can simply write R. So R dash is R by 4, so it's 1/4 the resistance of original resistance. The reason is length is decreased and the cross-sectional area is increased. Resistance is directly proportional to length, inversely proportional to cross-sectional area. An electric fire is connected to a 240 volt supply and transfers energy at the rate of 1 kilowatt. How much charge passes through the fire in 1 hour? Okay, so we have to find how much charge passes through. We have to find Q. How we can find Q? I, we know that I is Q by T and Q is IT, but we have to find I, current. So the power is given. We know that power is voltage into current. From this we can find the current, which is P by V. Both are available. P is 1 into 10 power 3 divided by V is 240 volt. So I will be 4.1 ampere. Now let's put in Q equal to IT. Now time is 1 hour. So 1 hour we have to write in second. 1 hour is 60 minutes and 1 minute is 60 seconds. So 4.1 into 60 into 60 into 1. So Q will be 14,760 coulombs. So if we write it in scientific, round it off, 1.5 into 10 power 4 coulomb. Two lamps are connected in parallel. Which switches must be closed so that both lamps light? Obviously we have to close all the switches, then only all the lamps will light. If you don't close the S3, then that bulb alone will not light. The diagram shows a circuit that switches on a lamp when there is a change in the environment. Which change in the environment causes the lamp to be switched on? Okay, so we have a relay across the second resistor, fixed resistor in the potential divider circuit. Now if the relay has to turn on, the voltage across the fixed resistance should increase. How the voltage across the fixed resistance will increase? If the voltage across the other resistance decrease. So the other resistance has to decrease. How it will decrease? If the temperature increase, the other thermistor's resistance will decrease. So increase in temperature will switch on the lamp. A step down transformer is 100% efficient. It has input voltage of 240 volt AC and output voltage of 60 volt AC. The current in the primary coil is 0.50 ampere. What is the current in the secondary coil? We have the equation IPVP equal to ISVS. P is primary, S is secondary. So we have to rewrite this equation for IS. Then it is IPVP divided by VS. If we substitute the values, we get 2 ampere. The diagram shows the pattern of magnetic field due to the current I in a straight wire. Which row is correct? Okay, we have to find direction of field and relative strength of the field. Obviously, the relative strength of Q is higher than P because Q is near to the wire. Okay, so greater at Q than P. Okay, now what about the direction X or Y? So it's a screw law. You can find like this. If motion of the current is in this direction, the magnetic field will be in this direction, like grabbing, how direction of your fingers. So in this case, motion of the current is downwards, so it will go like this. Okay, so it will go like this. So Y, direction of field is Y and relative strength of the field is greater at Q than P. In which device is the magnetic effect of a current not used? Electromagnetic loudspeakers. Potential divider, we do not use magnetic effect because it's depend only on the resistance. Relay, yes. Fission and fusion are two types of nuclear process. How does the total mass of the nuclide produced compare with the total mass of the original nuclide or nucleides in this nuclear process? Both fission and fusion, for example, in fission, one large nucleus is split into two light nucleus. The total mass of the large nuclei will be more, or two split daughter nucleus. If you combine their masses, it will be always less than the original nuclei mass because some of its mass is converted into energy. Similarly, in the case of fusion, if we take two light nucleus and then fuse together, get one big nuclei, the big nucleus mass will be comparatively less than both of the nucleus combined. So both cases it's less. So this is called mass defect. This mass defect is converted into energy. The table shows the composition of three different nuclei. Which nuclei isotope are the isotopes of the same element? So what is isotope? Same number of proton but different number of neutron. Which has same number of proton and different number of neutron? X and Y only. Which change occurs in the nucleus of a radioactive atom during beta emission? So what happens in beta emission? A neutron transforms into a proton and an electron. So in beta decay, the proton number increased by 1 and the neutron number decreased by 1. Option A. A radioactive isotope has a half-life of 8 days. A detector close to a sample of this isotope gives a count rate of 200 counts per minute. Without the source, the background count is 20 counts per minute. what is the count rate due to the source after 8 days? Okay, so after 8 days means after one half life. What is the count rate after one half life? Count rate divided by 2 power number of half lives. Okay, so 200 minus 20 is what's actual count? That is the count source in the machine minus the background count. Okay, so 200 minus 20 divided by 2 power 1, which is 8 days is one half life. So it will gives us 90 count per minute. So how do we find the count rate? We have to take the actual reading, okay, minus the background reading divided by 2 power number of how many half-life have done. That's the formula. Which statement about the solar system is correct? Pluto is not a planet, it's a dwarf planet. Thanks to Neil's deGrasse. Comets are bodies which orbit the sun in solar system. What is the shape of the orbit and how is the sun positioned with the orbit? So it's an elliptical orbit and sun will be in one of the foci, which is not at the center of the orbit. Which nuclear reaction produces the release of energy to power a star? In star, what happens? Very light nucleuses fuse together to form a big nuclei. So the lightest nuclei is hydrogen. So nuclear fusion of hydrogen into helium. By the way, nuclear fission of hydrogen and helium is not possible because they are already small nuclei. They cannot split into much more smaller nuclei. What is the definition of the Hubble constant? So Hubble constant is V by d. We know V is at what velocity it's going away from an object divided by the distance. So it's a ratio of the speed at which galaxy is receding from the Earth to its distance from the Earth. That's it. Thank you, Hariharan Ponmani. See you next video. Bye bye.